Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to The Editor and the Alien. I'm your co-host, Kat Rocha, the night editor, and with me, as always, is...
J.Ishiro Finney, author and alien who goes shopping at Walmart, apparently.
It's the in thing to do.
You know, I really did not expect that short little video of me just fucking around in a Walmart going viral like that and causing arguments.
Yeah.
It kind of shocks me that anyone cares that much what I say, but...
Well, of course, we have to hear what our brothers from space think.
If it was Space Brothers, that'd be a little different. But anyway.
Or are you thinking Homeboys from Outer Space?
Anyway. We today are doing something a little different for reviewing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be covering not one, but two movies.
Yes.
Comparing and contrasting them. The first is the 1963 Grindhouse schlock classic, Herschell Gordon Lewis's Blood Feast. A movie that's
infamous.
really bad.
It's really bad. It's infamous, but it's also really bad.
I mean, people say Ed Wood makes bad movies. I would take Ed Wood over this as far as quality.
Yes. Herschel can most of the time frame a shot that we will talk more about it.
Yes. The other film is the 1987 gonzo bizarro horror comedy Blood Diner, which began first as a sequel to Blood Feast, then as a parody, and then kind of took on a life of its own.
Mm-hmm.
But you can still see the influences. It still is kind of a parody.
I would say it rides that line between parody and homage.
Yeah, definitely. And both are cult classics. One is infamous. The other is horribly underrated.
Very much so.
In fact, I would have to say, oddly, with Blood Diner, it did not really find its audience until Gen X came across it on late night cable. And that's when it really blew up.
Well, that's how you and I found it.
Yeah, they used to run it at like 1 a.m. on Sci-Fi, back when Sci-Fi actually had some content worth watching.
Mm-hmm. I remember it was one of those things where we stumbled on it and we're like,
what the fuck is this?
Like, what the hell? It's like, are you seeing this?
Yeah, it was like, is this really happening? And we were so blown away by it, we hunted it down.
Yes, we did. It took us a while to track it down.
And I'll even go as far as to say Blood Diner is one of my favorite films.
I agree.
There are so many reasons. So, no, not Bloodborne Acid Trip. Blood Feast and Blood Diner. Oh, you care to answer that question? Read it.
Underworld Dream. Does the movie at least have nudity? Oh, yes.
Yes. Well, yes, it does. Blood Diner does.
Yeah, Blood Diner does. Blood Feast does not.
Blood Feast has the hint of a nipple coming out of a skimpy bikini.
A bikini that's falling off of a girl while she swims.
And you see lots of close-ups of almost nude body parts, but it was 1963.
No, I take that back. You gotta give him credit. The very first death at the very beginning of the film, you did see her topless.
From the back, right?
No, when she's in the tub, you see
nipplage.
You're
right. So, yeah, but keep in mind, that's 1963 Grindhouse.
Yeah.
You didn't really get the full-on nudity till about the 70s.
Yeah.
Blood Diner, on the other hand, is very much a creature of the 1980s.
Very much so.
But yeah, you want nudity. There's tons of it in this film.
Yes. Actually, one girl is 100% from head to toe naked and running around.
Through large portions of the film.
Yeah.
So, to start off, Blood Feast, 1963, directed by a man named Herschell Gordon Lewis, who has become something of an infamous name in the grindhouse and gore scene, because his films were known for being horrendously gory. By modern standards, I would say his films are horrendously filled with red paint and stuff he picked up at the butcher shop, stuffed on top of people.
I've seen children's birthday parties messier.
Yeah, it's so not convincing. It's
No.
I would say if you have a aversion to gory films, don't worry. This film looks so freaking fake.
Mm-hmm.
You would see more gore at the meat section at the supermarket.
Yeah, it's red paint. It's meat from the butcher shop. Done.
The plot is very simple. Fuad Ramses, an Egyptian man who runs his own
restaurant and catering business,
Yeah.
or is it a market
it was
and catering business?
rare meats and catering.
Yes. Now, what type of catering does he have?
Egyptian catering.
But what does the sign say?
What does it say?
It said exotic catering.
Exotic, yeah. I guess that meant something different in the 60s.
Yeah.
And the guy is just acting. His acting alone makes the movie worth it.
Oh, his acting's amazing. Actually, I would say his acting is on par with the weird witch woman from Trolls 2.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
definitely. Constantly his eyes bulging out. He's got poorly dyed gray hairs. Would you in fact be interested in a Egyptian feast?
Yeah.
One has not happened for 5,000 years.
And he's constantly like leaning into the camera or leaning into the person he's talking to.
And it's very clear the actor knows what he's in and is just having fun with it.
Oh, yeah.
So he wants to resurrect the goddess Ishtar. So the entire film, he's going around killing girls and taking parts of their internal organs so that he can make a blood feast.
Yep, make a blood feast.
So that he can hold the ritual to resurrect Ishtar.
Mm-hmm.
It culminates at a girl's birthday party.
Yep, it's a birthday party.
Was it her 17th birthday party?
They don't say, but it's very obvious she's not 18, and yet she's dating a cop in his 40s.
Yeah, that was a little iffy. And he messes it up at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
He's chased out by the cops and dies when he tries to hide inside a garbage truck.
Yes.
The end. There really isn't anything to this film.
No, there's the plot is paper thin at best.
Exposition. The exposition's constantly blatant. It falls back on an old tried and true Ed Wood method of something happens, then you cut to the police sitting in an office talking about it so that you just understood what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Cut to something happening, cut back to the cops telling you what just happened.
Although, now here's the thing: should we wait till we talk about both films to discuss the similarities between the two?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I think so. I think that would be for the best.
Okay.
Because really, when you get down to it, I mean, there isn't much about Blood Feast. The music is what? A tuba and a kettle drum.
Or it's a public domain
horror movie music, from the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
All the girls in it were just people that Gordon Lewis had, girls he'd found on the beach. They said, want to be in a movie?
Yeah.
So none of them can act, and they all think this is their big break.
Well, especially because this was filmed in Miami.
During the summer.
Yeah, during the summer. So this is not one of those bad films that was made in Hollywood for nothing. No, this was made in Miami.
While there are lots of film history buffs of horror, especially those who like gore, who will place Gordon Lewis very high on their list as this innovator, and that, if you look beyond the subtext of his films, there's so much more going on. Herschell Gordon Lewis himself has said multiple times, well, I saw that, these gory films were making a lot of money, and, I know nothing about filmmaking, but I knew that, you get some girls and some blood and the teens pay for it. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
And he automatically says, yeah, my movies are shit.
Well, isn't Blood Feast infamous for being one of the first to use a lot of gore, or for that time period, a lot of gore? Yeah,
it was considered a lot of gore for the period, but I mean, it looks more like a lot of red paint.
Yeah.
And again, people having stuff from the butcher shop laid on top of them.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to pretend that they've been cut open.
Yeah, there I think everybody did their own makeup, and you had nobody who knew how to do like makeup special effects. So that gives you the idea.
Now, 1987's Blood Diner, directed by Jackie Kong, a criminally underrated director who kind of vanished after the 80s, just never did anything again, took this concept of doing a parody, and her and whoever was writing it had a hell of a lot of talent and a good sense of humor. And so what should have been just kind of a fun snicker here, snicker there kind of film is kind of a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, usually in these kind of wacky 80s gonzo comedies that were very popular at the time, they had a great first act and a great third act, and the second act always dragged. You were just waiting for the movie to end. Even now, a lot of these wacky films like Sharknado and
Wow, that one I was waiting for it to end the second the opening credits.
Well, what are some other good examples where it has a strong opening and a strong ending, but you can tell this really should have just been an hour long? I mean, there's a lot of really bizarre Tokyo Shock films like that, like Machine Girl. Machine Girl is a funny film, but it's like the first half hour is great, and the last half hour is great, and the middle's like, we don't really even need this.
Yeah.
Just cut it out.
I know I am definitely in the minority on this. So sorry, guys. Hate to say it. That's how I felt about From Dusk Till Dawn.
But the middle was like, just kind of get to the point.
Yeah. It's like, okay, we understand this is a siege with vampires. Do something new. And I just felt like I was waiting for the end to happen.
Blood Diner is one of those few films that is taking on this frenetic, fast-paced direction. Joke a minute, shock a minute, bizarre shit constantly happening types of stories, and it never skips a beat. You're never bored.
No.
You're never waiting for, okay, let's get to the end now. Come on.
Well, the fact that we've been watching this film for years and we still pick up on new stuff.
One of the brilliant things about Blood Diner was that even though it was a low-budget film, Jackie Kong didn't want to just phone it in.
No.
You see a lot of these low-budget films, and the director treats it like a low-budget film. No, she went out of her way so that every scene is lit correctly, always has 3 layers of lighting and 3 layers of action.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got the people in the front, you've got a mid-ground, there's something there, and then you've got something in the distance. And even if it's just people walking or cars or an insane person being clubbed down by the police in an insane asylum,
mm-hmm.
every scene is moving. At no point do you feel like, oh, this is a stage set.
There's one scene.
What, the graveyard?
No. But even the graveyard, you had, something in the foreground, something in the midground, mm-hmm. something in the background. You did have that with the graveyard. No, it's the scene by the beach.
Yeah.
Where it's just very obvious. It's sand and paper mache.
Oh, you mean the cave?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So anyway, the thing about the film also is Blood Diner has ridiculous levels of detail that you wouldn't see usually in a low-budget film, partially because you have to pay somebody to pay attention to the continuity
mm-hmm.
and make sure it all matches up. Clearly, Jackie must have done it herself.
Mm-hmm.
Or, people just, well, why bother? It's a low-budget film kind of thing. For instance, there's a scene near the beginning where... well, should we talk about the plot? What's the plot of Blood Diner?
Well, the plot of Blood Diner is that this man, Anwar Namtut,
who is obviously supposed to be Fuad Ramses from Blood Feast.
Yes.
I mean, he even looks like him.
Well, not only that, but in Blood Feast, there's this book that keeps popping up that says, I forget what it was. Do you remember what the title of it was?
Let me look it up. It's pretty funny. Is it Fuad Ramses, rare and exotic meats?
Yes.
Oh, come on. Where is it? Oh, here it
was
is.
like
Ancient Weird Religious Rites.
yes, there's this book in Blood Feast of ancient weird religious rites by Fuad Ramses, and he sells this book on mail order, and it randomly pops up. In fact, it turns out that all the girls that he slaughtered had a copy of this book. Well, in Blood Diner, you have the book. It's a was it Black Magic and Rituals of Ancient Religions or something like that, by Anwar Namtat. So the fact that they brought that over, and it starts off in the 60s
with
with Anwar.
Can I?
Okay.
I want to. It starts off in the in the original film Blood Feast. It starts off with a woman at home taking off her clothes to take a bath, while on the radio, attention, there is a masked killer on the loose. He is hunting down and brutally murdering beautiful young women. Be on the lookout. It's like, come on. And then, of course, the woman gets in the bathtub and gets murdered by the guy.
Yeah.
Blood Diner opens with these two kids in their living room playing.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, now we're getting to attention to detail.
Yes.
They're playing with Play-Doh. Now, one boy loves to play cooking, and he's making all this food. And the other boy is kind of the one who's into weird religions. And they've got like a baby in the front for sacrifice and a doll nailed to the wall. And
as the goddess, and the other boy who has Anwar's book is trying to hypnotize one of those cat clocks.
And at no point is it shot to say, look, this is here. You just got to notice it.
Mm-hmm.
And what you find out, if you're paying attention, is they're doing the ritual that happens at the end of the film as kids. And it's shot very cute. You've got this cute scene of the kids playing, and then the mom comes out and says, "You two, I gotta go to the store. Ran out of goddamn fucking tampons.
Yeah.
I'm out of here."
Yeah.
So she leaves the kids alone, and then on the radio, attention, a killer is on the loose. He has been spotted running with a meat cleaver in one hand and his genitals in the other.
Yeah. No, from the scene of the Glee Club massacre.
And then you see like the POV of the killer approaching the house, and then the kids and approaching the house, and he starts beating the door down, and the kids are like, oh, and they jump behind the couch.
Yeah, you even get kind of the Close Encounters bit of you got bright lights coming from the door.
He busts the door down, comes through with the meat cleaver, and he looks like a Fuad from Blood Feast.
Yes.
And then it's this heartwarming scene where the two kids pop up and go, "Oh, it's Uncle Anwar. Uncle Anwar, hi. How are you kids? How are you doing?"
Yeah, and he gives them a hug. And it's actually a very touching scene, in fact. And he gives them these ancient amulets, and makes them promise that he will always practice and live their life for Shitar, because Shitar is their goddess, where in Blood Feast it was Ishtar. So now we've got Shitar. And then Anwar goes outside to the awaiting squad cars and gets gunned down by the cops.
Then we forward to the 1980s. Mm-hmm. And the first scene is the two boys grown up. They're going to the graveyard. They kill a security guard, dig up Uncle Anwar's grave, and pull his brain out of his skull.
Yes.
So that they can stick it in a jar with his eyes and hook a speaker up to it so Anwar can talk to them.
Yes, they do a ritual to resurrect him, but not as a person, but as a brain in a jar. You see how wacko this is.
And Anwar is not too happy the whole time.
No, well, he's not happy because he whacked off his dick in penance for the Glee Club massacre. The Glee Club massacre had been his attempt to resurrect Shitar, and he couldn't help himself. He had to bang the sacrificial virgin before it was time. He whacked his dong off in penance, and now he doesn't have a body, let alone a dong, and he's very sad about that.
Yeah. And through the whole film, he's pretty grouchy about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You two idiots. Hey, you homo, don't do that.
Yeah.
Keep going, you faggot." Uncle Anwar, we're doing it. Quit fucking around.
Yeah. Get the name of that slut that's in front of my window.
Yeah. We need the blood of impure virgins and sluts.
Yes.
No, it was immoral sluts.
Yes, immoral sluts.
And no fucking them.
Yes, no fucking.
So anyway, in Blood Feast, Fuad runs, as we said, a catering business for rare and exotic meats, especially Egyptian rituals.
Yes.
In Blood Diner, the two boys run a cafe that's vegan.
Yes.
It's a hip vegan cafe on Hollywood Boulevard. And since it's the 80s, it's a very new wave. It's got the neon designs, and the two boys are very much in the style of the era. They look very new wave. Reason being for that, apparently, is they both were in new wave bands, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hence the joke about, well, we thought you were in a band.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
That's
not why they were dressed like that.
That was their own clothes.
Really? In the okay, there's a scene. I'm not going out of context.
Not the club scene.
Oh, the club scene. Okay.
No, those were costumes. Those are exaggerations of styles.
Okay. I mean, I was wondering if do they do stuff like Dino?
No. Those two. That scene, we'll get to it. Those are obvious Halloween costumes.
Okay.
But no, the clothes through the movie.
Yeah.
They were wearing their own clothes.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And their hair, that was really the way they looked.
Well, that would explain why Georgie looked so good in that tight fishnet shirt.
Yeah. So these two boys are running a vegan cafe. And in the back, in Blood Feast, Ramses, yeah. Fuad has a lair in the back of his catering business that has a statue of the goddess Ishtar and these pots full of bodies or organs that he's filling to create the blood feast.
Yes.
The boys in their vegan restaurant
in Blood Diner.
In Blood Diner are serving. They're collecting the body parts too, to create to bring Ishtar or Shitar back, and they have a lair in the back there that's actually a lot better, looks a lot cooler, but they're taking all the spare body parts that they aren't using and cooking them up and serving them to the vegetarians.
Yes.
This film really doesn't like vegans.
No.
It really, really does not like vegans.
Well, what I liked was the scene where, you have our sacrificial virgin, the virginal girl who's just goody two shoes and who's shy and every tiny little thing freaks her out. And for some reason, she got into cheerleading. I don't know how you can be a pussy and be in cheerleading, but she was. And they were having a cheer squad meeting where their captain was talking about how it was her idea to be a vegetarian cheerleading group. And then the other squads were doing it. So then she decided that they were going to do aerobics. So then the other squads had to do it. So, and it's just this ratcheting up of we're being edgy. Our squad is doing edgy things. And that's the whole reason why they were eating at that restaurant, is because it was part of the image, not that they were actually vegetarian. And I swear that scene spotlighted what was going on with everybody in that restaurant.
Yeah.
Including the two boys running the place.
Yeah, it was because it was hip. And it really was making fun of the vegetarian fad of the 80s. Let's just say there are lots of scenes of vegetarians getting beaten up, arms severed, puked on.
Well, I love the fact that there's even a vegetarian biker gang
called the Cannibals.
Who decided to start their own co-op.
Do you think that's making fun of the family?
I was thinking that, actually. Yeah, I was thinking that.
That reference would take too long to explain.
Yeah. If you guys want us to get into it, we will at the end of the show. But yeah.
And they're preparing the two brothers. Whereas Fuad was the blood feast, these boys are creating the blood buffet.
Yes, it would be the blood buffet. The one big difference, though, between Fuad and these boys with Amwar is Fuad had, it's supposed to be a gold statue of Ishtar, but it's very obvious that they swiped a store mannequin and painted it gold.
Look, okay, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
The two boys, we hear about the cheerleaders, saying that, well, now we're doing vegan or very vegetarian because the other, we want to do cooler than the other cheerleaders.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're doing that. So we're moving up to doing nude aerobics for the Playboy channel.
Yep. Yes, because that's what girls do to be edgy.
So we cut to the girls doing topless aerobics for the Playboy channel. And there's a whole room full of girls, all topless doing aerobics.
Yes.
Now, apparently at the time, that had never been done. The Playboy channel saw that and said, why aren't we doing this?
Really?
Yes.
So it's because of that film.
That film is what started that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
That predates nude aerobics on the Playboy channel, apparently.
That's amazing.
So the cheerleaders are there with all the other girls. They're doing topless aerobics. The instructor, you want nice tits, she's there, definitely. But yeah, we got a lot of nudity in this film. Then the two boys show up and gun them all down.
What are they wearing?
The masks of Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter.
Yeah. Well, they're gunning down these topless aerobicists.
They take all the body parts and they sew them together into the goddess Shitar.
Yes.
And now explain.
Oh, and that is their statue, their image of the perfect body of the goddess Shitar, sewn together from the comeliest parts. Oh, is it of
immoral sluts?
Of 12 immoral sluts. Yes. I love it. I like the fact that the term immoral sluts keeps popping up.
Yeah.
I believe at one point they had to get the two stomachs of immoral sluts.
There's two livers, stomachs, and lungs.
Yes.
So this film.
And yeah, a good part of the film is the boys massacring girls who are impure, a la like a slasher film, only much more hilarious.
Yeah, well, see, in Blood Feast, it really was very by the book. Girl in a bikini, old, Fuad runs out with a knife, stabs her, leans over her almost naked body in a very odd angle. Try to make it look like he's pulling organs out. Move to the next scene.
Yeah.
Blood Diner went out of its way to make sure that every one of these scenes, every murder, is different, bizarre, and hilarious.
Well, like even when they are repeating the same hunting pattern, it's different, and they only repeat it once. And that is, they go to the club, they get girls, they bring them back to the restaurant, and
oh god, that's one of my favorite scenes. Is when they go to this club, and this film, Blood Diner, is full of so many weird, random things just to keep the pace going, right? Mm-hmm. When the two boys go to the club, and it's called Club Dread, which is probably a real club at the time. And I even know the location where it was being held because I used to go clubbing in LA. They go dressed in the most stereotypical, ridiculous club outfits that are obviously costumes for like Halloween.
Yeah.
One's a punk rocker, and the other is like John Travolta.
Yes.
In the disco leisure suit, but with a gigantic pompadour that's just ridiculous. And they dress up like this so that they can go to this club and find a couple of immoral sluts to take home. Mm-hmm. And when the bouncer won't let them in, Georgie grabs the bouncer, throws him into the street. A lowrider comes by, bouncing on its hydraulics, playing La Cucaracha, drives over the bouncer's head. Everyone points and laughs, and then they go in the club.
No. The wonderful thing about the end of that scene is that the other bouncer in the door lets them in, even says, okay, you guys can go in. And then he kind of steps over and like looks out and he goes, you okay?
But when they get the girls at the club and they take them back to the diner, how they murder them
is hilarious.
You want to explain?
Actually, we came in on this scene. So this scene,
when we first saw it on Sci-Fi Channel.
This was the very first scene we saw. And at first, both of us were thinking, okay, this is going to be your typical...
when we flipped to it, we're like, well, this is a really bizarrely shot scene for a
Yes.
slasher film, but
Yeah.
it looked like a run-of-the-mill slasher.
Mm-hmm. And what it was the you know, the boys and girls split up, where you have Michael with his girl in the front room, and you have Georgie with his girl in the back room. Now I'll talk about Georgie in a second. Michael pulls out the batter for tempura and batters the girl, and she of course thinks it's really kinky.
This is kinky. She was obviously a porn actress.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is kinky. Has ever heard of battered girlfriends?
Yeah.
Ooh, sounds hot.
And when she's good and battered, he shoves her head into the deep fryer.
And it comes out as this giant tempura ball.
Yeah, and she runs around the room with her head in this giant ball, and her giant hoop earrings
are sticking out of the tempura ball.
Yes, and even Michael has this look on his face, like, what the hell? Why isn't she dead?
Yeah, he has this look like, is this really happening?
Yeah.
For a minute, even he loses reality. It's like, this is happening.
Like, huh? And so what's he do? He takes a broom handle and baseball bats her head clean off into the back room, which brings the camera to the back room.
See what I mean by very well shot? How it just one scene immediately flows directly into the other.
Yeah.
There's no weird rough cut. I mean, literally, the girl gets her head shot, bopped off. It's a giant tempura ball, so it bounces like a basketball into the other room and rolls in.
Yeah.
And the camera follows it, and then there's Georgie and the other girl.
Now, Georgie's kind of slow, and it is implied that though he says he likes girls, he probably doesn't, because now that he has one, he doesn't know what to do with her.
He looks utterly baffled.
Yeah, baffled and slightly disgusted, actually. So he's just lying there like a dead fish while this woman's doing all the work.
Just, oh yeah, Samson, do it to me.
Yeah. And the ball roll, the head ball rolls in, and she instantly gets like,
something's wrong.
Yeah,
I've got to go check.
Her spider sense is tingling.
Never mind the fact she's in a back room, their lair, right? And it's full of saws and chains and torture implements and severed body parts piled up in the corner.
And you have the Frankenstein sewn apart body of Sheetar.
Now that wasn't the giveaway. No.
No. Oh, and the head with the eyes and the microphone
watching.
And that's the thing. The head's a puppet. I mean, not the head, the brain. The brain's a puppet. The eyes move.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not just this static thing. So if she was paying attention, she'd see that the brain was watching her. But no. The head rolling in, suddenly her spider sense is tingling. She decides she has to go. She sees that her friend's being dismembered and immediately is asking George for help to get her out.
George, something's wrong. You got to get me out of here.
And he's disappeared. He's ghosted on her. He ninja'd away. And this was the scene that both of us were like, are you seeing this?
Yeah.
Because she like backs up, pulls open a door.
Easily could have gotten away.
No. She pulls open the freezer on accident, finds all the body parts.
Oh, they fall on her.
Yeah, they fall on her. She picks herself up, drops her purse, starts heading to the back door, could have gotten away, but decides, no.
Oh, wait, my purse.
I got to get my purse. What did I do with my purse? And then, of course, when she finds her purse, she dumps it all over the floor and proceeds to pick up everything on the ground.
Oh, it was full of drugs, tampons, and tarot cards.
Yeah.
So what the fuck?
I do think she had car keys in there, too, but... and then when she gets to the back door, she gets sliced directly in half. And
the way it's done.
Oh, it was
beautiful. It's bloodless, but the shock of seeing the body get plied in half like a Looney Tune cartoon.
Yeah, it was very Looney Tune.
Kind of like when Coyote gets slashed in half on accident, right?
Yeah.
And the body, it just keeps going. And then the scene cuts, just a hard jump to the next day. And throughout the film, just like in Blood Feast, we're also following two police officers investigating the case. Where in Blood Feast, the two investigators were very much cardboard cutout wannabe Joe Friday and, the other one.
Oh, starts with a G.
Gannon.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it was obviously it was a ripoff of Dragnet. They were trying to be Dragnet, but these guys sucked.
Mm-hmm.
And their costumes didn't even fit.
No, they didn't.
It was obvious those weren't their suits.
Hell, one of them, his pant leg was almost up to his knee at one point.
And there were lots of long, talky scenes and lots of exposition and overacting. Who would do this to an innocent girl? A psychopathic maniac. That is who.
Wow.
And there is a part where one of the investigators in Blood Feast goes to a professor of Egyptology, and that's where he finds out about the Blood Feast and Ishtar.
Well, no, what it is he's going to this this class at the community college where the professor is actually using Ramses's book as the textbook, and he may have started going there because he was just curious about ancient religions, but he's mainly going for the 16-year-old jailbait that's there, who's our main our virgin of the day for that film.
Now in Blood Diner, they mirror that, and they actually use a lot of the same dialogue, but ramp it up to 11. And the two cops that are investigating in Blood Diner, one guy is like a stereotypical disco lounge lizard cop from the 70s.
Oh yeah.
In the most tacky plaid pants and pompadour and
that one outfit where like nothing matched. It's like a craft store exploded on him.
And he even acts kind of like a 70s kind of cop.
Well, right down to how flippantly he uses his gun,
And he's paired with this sexy black chick who has a British accent and has very much.
She's South African.
South African? Mm-hmm. I mean, she is actually very gorgeous too.
She is. She's fucking
and
hot.
She's kind of done up in the whole Miami Vice look, so she's very 80s and slick and always pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
And the two of them are on the investigating the case, and then the police chief is like the psychotic Russian.
Is that what he is?
Well, his accent kept changing.
Okay.
But yeah, he kept punching the disco cop.
Actually, I thought he was Iranian.
Who knows? But they end up at an archaeological dig, talking to a professor there. So you've got this scene. You got to imagine. You see a girl cut in half. Then it immediately jumps to this archaeologist just rambling this mad lecture about the cult of Shitar with doing mad drugs, sex and orgies and
debauchery and blood and cannibalism.
And the whole time they're college students at the digging up fossils. I found these bones. They're bones. No.
No. She goes, it's a bone. Label it. Bury it again. Don't bother me.
And yeah. So where do we want to go from here? I mean, there's so much to mention. Essentially, the cops, they give a lot of this back and forth. There's a whole cast of oddball characters we run into. Like there's a competing vegan restaurant where it's this slime ball guy who's trying to get the secret recipe that makes the brothers' food taste so good. And he has this ventriloquist dummy that's dressed like a cowboy that's always talking for him. Mm-hmm. And he's always arguing with it.
Well, that's the thing, just to talk about storycraft. Even though the villains in the story are, these two Tutman boys or Namtut boys, you are following them. You are engaged in what happens to them. And always with a story, not always with a story, but a good storytelling trope or tool you can do is have that second, almost a third act conflict.
Right. Yeah. It was right before they're supposed to go to the ritual.
Yeah. So, it's things are going along. We've finally gotten what we need. And then, you hit that snag or you run into that problem or something derails, your path. And for them, It's that their competition, who's got the vegetarian place down the road, who's being run out of town because their stuff's so good,
stole Uncle Anwar's brain and was forcing him to teach him the recipes.
yes. And
It ends in a violent scene that is hilariously funny, and I don't want to
Yes.
ruin it. There's one other scene before we get to the ritual that I
Okay.
want to bring up. Now, there's a scene where, as I said, they have to collect the bodies of all these girls. And one of them, they're driving up to, what was it, Bronson Caves,
mhm.
which is where the original Bat Cave was.
Yeah.
Because there's a girl there making out with her boyfriend. And on the way, Georgie's driving a van and he sees a biker by the side of the road hitchhiking.
No, he wasn't hitchhiking. His
His
bike,
bike had broke down,
yeah, the chain busted.
For no fucking reason, the story stops so that Georgie can run him over. Look in the rearview mirror, the biker's getting back up. George gets upset, backs over him. The biker gets back.
Yep.
I mean, this goes on and
To the tune Mambo Mambo.
Now, the scene could have been dull. It could have gone on too long. But the actors were so good at playing the scene.
Mm-hmm.
It worked.
It's another good thing that you brought up the Bronson Caves scene, because that's one
Where they mimic exactly Blood Feast.
Yeah, they do. And it is just hilarious because the scene in Blood Feast is this girl and her boyfriend. They go and they park by the beach, and she says, "Oh, it's getting dark, and with the killer out there, you know, are you sure we should be here?" And he says, "No, it's okay, baby. I'm here. You know, don't worry about it." And then he gets knocked out and she gets murdered.
It's in a cave.
Mm-hmm.
The dialogue is almost identical,
Mm-hmm.
with some extra stuff added.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, with all this killing of girls going on, I'm kind of worried. And then,
You know, and then he gets knocked out, and Georgie tries to kill her. The thing is, what's hilarious about this scene is she is again naked head to toe, and you think, okay, you know, Georgie's gonna get her. And then she like busts out with some like, you know, some karate shit.
yeah, she's doing full on kung fu, and she obviously was a martial artist.
Yeah, and she kicks his ass. But what happens is all of her going, whoa, you know, sounds like Bruce Lee, reverberates off the edge of the cave. So when she goes to check on her boyfriend, a stalactite falls and hits her in the head.
So yeah, I mean, this film is so fucking weird. So, but in Blood Feast, when the cops finally arrive to the scene, and oh my god, this is such a horrible sight. This girl on the beach, her life, you know, it's such an early stage of her life, so many hopes, and now she's dead.
Yeah.
And then the boyfriend's like, she wanted to leave, and I told her to stay. And the guy acting, it was just horrible.
Oh,
Oh, why did this happen? No.
Chewing the scenery does not describe for
In Blood Diner, same thing. The boyfriend's coming out and she wanted to leave, but I was horny and now she's dead. And in the background, you see them hauling out body parts.
Yep. Well, they finally take him away on a gurney, and I think it's because we watched it this time on Blu-ray, where previously we had that old crappy VHS. No, it was a DVD that had been dubbed from a VHS.
Yeah, well, what we did is we found it on video.
Yeah.
This is how bad we wanted the film before it was available.
Mm-hmm.
Is we found it on video, we bought it, and we transferred it to a DVD because we wanted the film that bad.
Yeah.
Now it's available from Vestron.
Yes.
And it's a great cut.
It's a wonderful cut, but it was clean enough, this cut from Vestron, that I noticed that there's a piece of her leg strapped to the gurney that they put him on. So he's being hauled away with a body part.
Yeah. And that's what I mean is through the whole film, you keep getting little details and callbacks. Like at the very beginning, there's those cheerleaders, remember, who go to the topless aerobics.
Yeah.
Over and over again, you see in the police department, the pom-poms of the girls in the background.
Yeah, they keep
as
showing
evidence.
Up.
There's another part where they're in the hospital and they're hauling in body parts and the pom-poms are there.
And then the pom-poms fall out of the freezer in the diner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right before they kill.
That one girl.
There's also another random scene that is like, why is this in here? And that's Georgie through the whole film is going on about how he's such a good wrestler.
Yes.
Out of nowhere, the film kind of just takes a detour so that George can go to a local wrestling match and challenge the reigning champion,
Yes.
Little Jimmy Hitler.
Yes.
Who is this big beefy guy who wears a Nazi armband and has a little Hitler mustache. And then they have a wrestling match. No reason why, it's just in there.
Yeah. Yeah, there really isn't a reason for it to be there.
I don't want to reveal how Georgie, who gets his ass kicked, ends up winning, because it would ruin the gag. But how he ends up winning is fucking hilarious. So yeah.
And of course, for some reason, Michael has the bright idea of taking the most innocent of virgins ever to a fight, to a wrestling match.
And she gets blood sprayed all over.
Yeah. Like that. No, that was stupid, my man.
So finally, let's just get straight to the end.
Okay.
In Blood Feast, it culminates in this girl's birthday party, which is honestly the most dull birthday party I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's mainly a bunch of older people who look like they were from a retirement home in Miami.
That and the sacrificial virgin, what little intelligence she had at the beginning of the film seems to have been thrown out the window for this scene to happen.
And Fuad takes her in the back in the kitchen and says, "Oh, you've got to lay down and close your eyes and repeat these words." And she does it.
Yeah, she does it. And then she's like, "Oh, this is silly."
And he almost kills her, but at the last minute she wakes up, or she sees it, or he gets interrupted.
Her mother walks in.
Yeah. And then the police chase him down, and like I said, he dies in a garbage truck. The end. Which I got to admit, the garbage truck scene's pretty funny.
No, it is.
In Blood Diner, the film's ritual culminates in this party they've arranged at a nightclub.
At
Dread.
Mm-hmm.
Where the entire crowd, and there's obviously a real club crowd from LA because it was full of punks and rockabillys and shit.
That and the place looked real.
Oh, it was. It was definitely. I think I recognized the venue.
Okay. By the way, I love the fact that this is the 80s. So when they went to the club owners and said, "We want to have this ritual at your place. Are you cool with it?" They gave them buckets of shit that they told them were drugs. And they said, "This is for free for the party."
Yeah.
And suddenly, okay, yeah, you can have your thing here.
So the party is this insane nightclub scene with a band on stage. The band's called Dino Lee, the King of White Trash.
And Dino Lee is hilarious.
Which was a real band from the 80s,
yes.
Which was along the same lines in bizarreness as, say, the B-52s and Devo.
Yeah.
It was kind of one of those bands where their whole angle was they were strange. You know, what was the one that did the band that Teenage Enema Nurse, for instance?
Yeah.
This band was kind of like redneck new wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's on stage singing about how he's a stud pony, and the great thing about being a stud pony is all you've got to do is stand in the stall and hump other horses.
They like to catch you, like they like to scratch your nose and feed you carrots.
Right. And the whole time, and there's like his band, they have a person in a horse suit.
I'm with you, LK. I miss the 80s too.
There's two go-go dancers that were just happy to be there. And then his band is comprised of people in Nazi uniforms.
Yeah. For reasons.
Yeah, for reasons.
I think they're actually supposed to
be Charlie Chaplin.
No, they may have been. I read the thing on what his band people were.
Yeah.
And one said that they were the ghosts of Hitler.
Oh shit.
So they're not just Hitler, they're the ghosts of Hitler, multiple of them.
So you've got this bizarre new wave band playing. You've got all these people partying. They're taking drugs. The boys show up at the party. Everyone's taking hunger pills, thinking that it's cocaine.
Yeah.
So they become extremely hungry. The boys bring in this huge cauldron of bloody body parts called the blood buffet.
Yes.
Everyone starts getting hungry and starts eating the body parts, and it turns them into zombies.
Yes.
Ramiro zombies, except they want brains.
No, they want bodies.
Oh yeah, they were just wanted to eat people, didn't they?
Yeah, they just wanted to eat people.
So now you've got the club goers as zombies partying and eating each other. While Dino Lee and his band are playing, on the other stage, Mikey and Georgie have the Virgin set up. They have Shitar there on the altar, and they're performing the ritual to resurrect Shitar.
Yes.
Now,
in most of these types of films, the ritual doesn't happen.
It never works, or it's failed at the very end.
Yeah.
No, Shitar awakens and starts firing lightning bolts at everyone.
Yes.
Exploding body parts.
It's her powers of Jupiter.
Use your powers of Jupiter for vengeance.
Yes. And the thing is, when they ask her to use her powers of Jupiter for vengeance, she opens her arms and she has this like
giant vagina mouth.
Yeah, with huge angry teeth on her chest.
And if anyone says this kind of reminds me of something you put in one of your books, J.Ishiro, well, that's kind of true. No, really.
No, I know. But what I love about that is she opens her arms and reveals this.
Her tits fall out, and then there's this giant vagina mouth in her stomach.
And it moves. It's actually animatronic. And all the zombies immediately stop their eating and start applauding.
The cops show up and start gunning down the zombies.
Yeah.
It's complete chaos. Things are blowing up. There's a goddess in the corner firing lightning bolts.
Yes.
Mikey gets shot in the face.
Yes.
So Georgie goes nuts and tries to shove one of the cops' heads into Shitar's vagina mouth.
Like, you
killed my brother. I'm going to feed your head to Shitar.
Oh, God, that was great.
But Shitar needs to be fed a virgin to survive.
Yes.
And just by chance, Georgie gets shoved in.
Yep. And Georgie's head gets eaten.
And it turns out Georgie was a virgin.
Yes. Again, kind of going back to maybe he was not a friend to women.
And yes, it ends with Shitar free roaming the earth as a hooker.
Yes.
Preying upon horny guys on Hollywood Boulevard.
Are we shocked? She does it on Hollywood Boulevard. Nobody's going to notice.
Yeah. And there was one thing was also the music in Blood Diner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not only was it shot, it didn't seem like a low budget film. Not only was it acted as it didn't look like a low budget film. The music was top notch, and it was very clever how she did it. A lot of it was 50s classics that were like almost nothing to get. And then a few other bands as well from the era.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything more to say other than just comparing these two films? I mean, the thing that stands out to me was that what began as a parody of an infamous schlock film from the 60s took on a life of its own and became something far better than the original in every way.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really kind of just an overlooked classic. I mean, I'm glad that it's finally found kind of a second renaissance with this, with what streaming and cable and just people. So many people have seen it now that it even got a special edition.
Yeah.
On Vestron.
Mm-hmm.
Dino Lee has suddenly had a resurgence because so many people are like, well, who's this stud pony guy?
Yeah.
And his albums are selling again.
Mm-hmm. No, this is wonderful.
Now all we need is Jackie Kong to come back and direct another movie.
Well, she was on Creature Feature a couple of weeks ago.
Actually, yeah, that was interesting hearing her talk. I mean, we're not going to get into Jackie's background because we don't know the full story. She's obviously very angry, and what little we know, she's got very good reason to be angry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say, Jackie, it's not men, it's Hollywood men.
Exactly.
Trust me, You get out of Hollywood, suddenly you're going to find that the male of the species don't all act like Harvey Weinstein and Jeff Epstein.
Yeah.
You know, there are human beings out there too.
Exactly.
But what happens when you get jerked around by the guy that directed Flesh Gordon?
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
Okay, then.
At least her film got released on special edition and was finally recognized.
Yes.
Just like Hobgoblins.
Just like Hobgoblins.
Which isn't nearly as good as this film.
No.
So, should we go through the comments? Well, we got 22 people to stay and watch for 2 cult films that most people don't know about or care about. Not bad. Okay, let's see. We've got the, Sad Tuba.
Ishi's reading your comments.
Yeah. Let's see. Talk while I try and find something.
Well, okay. There was something that we were going to get into or talk about.
This is just a funny comment.
Sheetar, is she with He-Man too? I don't think He-Man would want to get near Sheetar. Owen, this sounds like an episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force wishes it was this weird and rapid fire.
Yes.
Seriously. And I like Aqua Teen Hunger Force, but no, it's got nothing on this film.
Mm-hmm. I still love the scene where the second time Mikey brings a girl to the shop, and he tells her, it's like, well, I've got something big that I want to share with you. And she says, is it like this? And she puts her hands at, a certain distance, and he goes, oh, it's much bigger than that. And she starts like primping herself and getting all prepared. Like, oh my God, he's got a huge dick. Meanwhile, he's walking towards the back going, hey, uncle, I forgot what I was supposed to get.
See, it's not as funny to you guys, but trust me, once you've watched this.
Yeah. Janelle, this movie doesn't like vegans. Sold! Yes, it really doesn't like vegans. In fact, there's an entire scene, multiple scenes about how much they don't like vegans.
Well, the fact that there's a scene where the one guy that's really like the annoying hippie, he's obviously an aging hippie who calls himself Vitamin C.
Yeah.
Is yelling at Georgie for watching wrestling while cooking. Yeah, turn that shit off. And Georgie just goes berserk and beats him up.
Well, what gets me is this film taking things that are like stereotypical.
Yeah, everything's set up.
Yeah.
I mean, even the wrestling scene's set up. It's just weird.
Well, Vitamin C is a trucker. He's a trucker, and he goes from he goes across the country. He's talking about how does these long hauls, so it's really hard for him to find good places to find good vegetarian food, and that's why he's so enamored with theirs, because he says usually it tastes like shit. Elias, to Janelle. Herschell Gordon Lewis's Blood Feast, Blood Diner was what the fuck for me.
So what do you mean, what the fuck? I mean, in a good way, what the fuck? Like we're describing, or was this just like, I'm not sure about this. Okay. I agree with this.
Anime acid trip, man, the 80s were crazy. Indeed they were.
They were a unique time. I mean, it was the perfect culmination of, we'd come out of the 1970s, and after the reign of Jimmy Carter, the things had gone so bad that once Reagan came back and revitalized the economy, everyone was happy. Everyone was like, oh, wait, we're not doomed yet. We all had this notion that, well, the bomb may fall, so fuck it. But at least we could have a good time. A lot of great music, a lot of great films, and plus, it was fueled by cocaine. So you got to imagine that had some effect on the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And it actually got a lot of stuff funded that should have never been funded otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, as strange as it may sound, and maybe that's part of the problem. I'm not saying that there should be a cocaine trade. Cocaine's a vile substance, don't get me wrong. But the fact that so many businesses had to somehow find ways to hide that they were making their money off cocaine, that a lot of things like movies, low budget movies and music and art got funded to hide the fact that the money was really coming from cocaine.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd have to say a large portion of Miami was built because of cocaine.
Yeah.
The downtown revitalization.
Oh, yes. The answer is yes. From what I've read, yes.
So
cocaine, I think, made Miami in general.
it did. It did come at a cost, but hey, personal responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm. Cooper Clark. First off, hi, lovely to see you all again. Second, I don't know what Blood Diner is, but that picture in the thumbnail is one of the best things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was quite pleased. That's actually a piece of fan art because they didn't like the movie art that the company had made for it.
Really?
And I think this fan art actually fits the movie much, much better.
I don't know. I still like the classic, the poster art.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the sign.
That is a good one, yeah.
But again, I realized that part of my bias is that I absolutely hate the color pink. If it's pink, I want nothing to do with it. So, Dandy Spike, what's the best place to find these movies?
Well, one, it depends on where you live, Dandy Spike. If you were living in on the coasts, I would say go look the clearance section at Fry's before they go out of business.
Although for Blood Diner, Amazon.
Was that where we got ours?
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, take that back. No, don't look at Fry's because they'll overcharge you.
Yeah, no, I got ours from Amazon. Actually, I pre-ordered it the second I found it. I found out it was coming out.
But yeah, Vestron, you see, this is actually one of the, we bitch a lot about how much this is a cultural dead period, and it is. It is.
Don't bother searching. Oh, okay. I found that if you put in that, it actually will limit your search. If you just type the name in, it will find it.
But one thing that's nice is now that Gen X is getting old enough to own businesses, there's been a whole wave of boutique publishers in the video realm that have given life to either indie films that would never have been paid for before, like Fair, or cult classics that had never been really regarded as anything getting a second life. And a lot of that's happening right now, which is, at least we have that. And Vestron Video is one of the best.
Yes.
Shout Factory is another really good one.
Yeah, Shout Factory is great. Okay, Ishi's putting the link from Amazon.
Here's the one you want to get, and this one's restored too.
And it looked like you can get it used as well. Dandy Spike, cooked up 80s businessmen are the backbone of this country. Coked up, sorry. I read that wrong. Ishii, so cocaine was responsible for G.I. Joe and Transformers?
I honestly couldn't tell you. If I had found out that the seed money came from Transformers, I'd believe it. In fact, I do believe the seed money for was it Robotech or was it Voltron? Looks like it was actually cocaine was the front. I know that Harmony Gold turned out to be a front for they keep getting sued.
Yeah.
For its property right now, but apparently, I don't know if Carl Masick knew this or not, but clearly a lot of people at Harmony Gold thought they were importing anime for cultural reasons and profit reasons, not realizing it was a front for what those guys, what was it, Harmony and Gold were doing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons everything's so fucked up with them, is that those two guys, I don't know their first names, but Harmony and the other guy, Gold, essentially are just vampires. They're there to find a way to drain money out of anything, any way they can through lawsuits. And
yeah.
So it's a real shame that happened. But Hasbro, I think really it was the fact that G.I. Joe was such an amazing success. And I'm not sure who had the bright idea of saying, well, we've got all these great things that we can license from Japan, and that just blew up.
Yeah.
And it was kind of telling that what it was that, oh god, the company that did Dragon Ball,
Oh,
is it Toei or
Toei Animation? Yeah.
Toei Animation did the Transformers movie in the 80s. That's why
Yeah.
the animation's so good.
Yeah, that animation is spot on. Anime Acid Trip, Common Writer on Amazon.
Is it on Amazon or is there Common Writer
Or
Amazon? I'll have you know, we were picking what we were going to do today. We were going to do Jugface, but after the last few days, we felt like something funny. We almost did Keiko Common. So if you know what I'm talking about, I think you do.
Elias, by what the fuck, I mean in a fun way. I mean, it was an 80s horror film and it was bonkers for me. I remember watching it only once on FearNet on demand on Comcast at the time.
Yeah, it's one of those films.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I would also add is somebody had mentioned somebody had said Machine Girl. I'd mentioned it. Somebody wants to know if we'll review it. I know you don't want to sit through it again. Is that fair?
I can.
I think
mean, it's not my favorite.
I would be more interested in reviewing Robo Geisha, and we are going to do Tokyo Gore Police. But I mean, even Robo Geisha, which we really like, that second act.
Yeah, there you go. There's a film where the second act just takes for fucking ever.
It's like, guys, this is a straight-to-video film. You don't need to be an hour and a half.
No.
People will pay for an hour, okay? Just cut that shit out in the middle. You'll have more money to spend on everything else.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there we go. That's it. Shudder is the other one that I was trying to think of.
Oh, okay.
Vestron, Shudder.
Yeah.
I
think Toei Animation also did the G.I. Joe movie.
You know, I'm really tempted to do the G.I. Joe movie on Ishii's Great Big Alien Show, strictly for the fact that it has Reptoid subtext. I'm not shitting you.
Oh, I know you're not.
The whole Lumerian Reptoid thing is a key part of the plot.
Well, yeah, that's part of Cobra and Does the film? I haven't seen the film. Does the film have Cobra Commander, or does it have
Serpentor? Both.
Yeah. Oh, it has both. Okay.
I believe it has both. I'm pretty certain. I also know that there was a TV movie / multi-part epic where they were stealing Cobra was stealing the DNA of all the most ruthless tyrants and rulers. I need some liquid. To use them to create the greatest leader ever, which was Serpentor, and it didn't turn out too well.
I'll have you know, with all this talk of reptoids, yes, I call them reptoids. I refuse to call them reptilians. Bite me.
Reptoids just rolls off the tongue so much better.
It does,
and it sounds like a 1950s B movie.
It does.
Reptilian. You think, oh, you're talking about those little guys that crawl around outside our house.
Yeah,
that's a reptilian species.
It's like what?
Reptoids. So
yeah, that actually sounds like
like it came from space and ate kittens.
Well, did you ever see in the 90s the Conan the Adventurer cartoon?
It was shown in the mornings. I think I was beginning to age out of cartoons in the morning at that point. But I do know my brother watched it a few times, and my only thought was, shouldn't the show be more violent?
Well, as the opening credits go, because it's one of those shows where you get everything you need to know about the show in the opening credits, so that you can pop in at any time. And it says that his mission or his quest, actually, I'm gonna quote, his quest is to undo the spell of Livingstone cast upon his family by driving the evil serpentman back into the other dimension.
Well, that's interesting that you bring up that, because that is canon. No.
Yeah, I know it's canon.
It's
from
a lot
Howard.
of people, there's been lots of references saying that it might have been Howard who first put forth the idea of subterranean extra-dimensional reptilian men. But then you've got to wonder, does that compete with Hollow Earth theory and who did it first? And
well, and just the whole idea of Satan living literally underground.
But I think the concept of reptoid as we know them, the first real vestige of that, I think, did come from Howard's Conan.
That's what I always thought. Anyway, William, I believe Harmony Gold has ties to a corrupt, infamous Italian prime minister who used the anime to funnel money from the Italian public broadcast channel.
Not surprised.
Not surprised, no.
Wasn't it in the 80s also when the Italian film industry got corrupt and imploded? And that's why they don't make budget. Corman stopped filming there?
I can't say. I just know that definitely seemed to be when we stopped getting giallos.
Yeah, I mean, when the Italian film industry went bust, it was a real loss.
Yeah.
For both Italian filmmakers and low-budget American filmmakers.
Anime Acid Trip. Amazon as in the 6th in the line of the original Kamen Riders Amazon. Oh, okay. Think Japanese Tarzan. Bit more fighting and tearing apart monsters. That's cool. I didn't know about that.
Really? Well, we can check it out.
Yeah. Owen, Inframan has no second act. It just goes straight through to the third act, which is why I love it so much. Review it. Also, review Guyver Dark Hero. That too is Reptoid related.
The thing is, if we were to review Inframan, the only problem I see, because I have no problem. Inframan is one of those films that if I've had a shitty day, or I'm brain dead and I don't want to think too hard, or I just want to laugh, that's one of those films that you can pop on and start at any point in the film. It doesn't matter. And the nice thing about Inframan is, does it even have, it has a first act and an ending?
Pretty much.
I mean, well, okay, I guess the first act is about 5 minutes, and then the second act, I guess, would be nonstop fighting, and then the end,
and then the climax. Yeah.
So I mean, you could argue it doesn't have a second act.
No, I would say the first act is before he becomes Ultraman.
Yeah, it's
not Ultraman, Inframan.
But it's so brief that it's almost like you blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
And I think the only problem is I would have no problem doing Inframan, but like I said, it's so rapid paced and so nonsensical that I don't think we could review it for longer than a half hour.
The problem is it really doesn't have a story to review.
I mean, we could review it, but I couldn't see it taking more than, it would probably be more like a 15 to 20 minute review.
Let's discuss it.
Okay. So that's my only problem I see with that.
I mean, sorry guys, I at this very moment in time, I'm thinking no on Inframan because there's hardly any plot to review. It would just be, remember that scene when he did that thing with those monsters? Yeah, that was cool. So that's why I'm saying no.
I take that back. You want us to do Inframan. I'll tell you how we'll do Inframan. We'll have to set up a date to do this. And enough of you guys have to say you'll join in or we won't do this ever again. A live view.
Oh, okay.
If we just run it live and enjoy it with the audience, because you can watch it for free on Prime and you can watch it for free on YouTube.
True.
I've got a pirated copy that I ripped off of YouTube that's pretty high quality. So I would think ideally the way to do Inframan is you got to enjoy it with the audience.
Okay.
Because then they can laugh and see exactly when we're saying, oh, this. Yeah.
Okay. We can totally do that.
That you can all drink.
Yes, drink. Mad Ginger, Reptoids sound like an 80s villains. Janelle, the word reploid reminds me of, she probably means reptoids, reminds me of lectroids from Buckaroo Banzai.
Holy shit. I think you're on to something.
Oh, I thought that was done on purpose.
No, I think that might have been another place that David Icke stole from. We know that I know that a lot of his delusion came from V. Mm-hmm. That's known. And we know a lot of it was stolen from They Live. But Buckaroo Banzai. where they were from what, the eighth dimension, which was a hell-like dimension. They looked human to everyone else, but if you could see past them, you could see that they weren't human. They were lectroids. They were of an evil aspect. They fed off of junk food, and I do believe, they were cannibalistic.
Yeah.
They had infiltrated the arms industry. I think you're onto something, Janelle. Yeah, you might that might actually find its way into one of my articles. No, seriously, for my book.
No, I know you're being serious. Dandy Spike, Ishii, and Kat, have you guys ever watched the anime Area 88?
I've been wanting to watch it for decades since I first read the manga from Viz. Was it Viz, or I forget who was publishing it, back in the 1980s, and I never got to finish it. I recently found somebody had put it all on YouTube. I'm waiting to watch it when I get into writing Titanium Rain again. I know if I watch it now, it'll fuck me up. If I'm going to watch that, I've got to be writing about fighter jets.
Acid Trip. Amazon is also the shortest, only having around 25 episodes.
Oh, okay. I guess this is an ongoing conversation. I don't know.
No, he was talking again about Kamen Rider.
Oh,
Amazon.
okay. Sorry.
Yeah. It was cut short because parents thought it was too violent. You know, the same old joke we get nowadays.
Well, yeah, Japanese think it's violent. Holy shit. All right. Well, that's the end of comments here. I mean, does anybody have any questions or anything else before we wrap this up? Do you like me posting videos from Walmart?
The OAV is bad because that's how I am watching it for Dandy Spike. Oh, talking to LK. Okay.
Murder mystery episode win.
You want us to do a murder mystery?
Oh, sure.
Oh, there's all sorts of things we could do. We could do one of Dario Argento's.
Well, that's not. Would I've been wanting to do Phenomena.
Oh, okay.
Would that count? I mean, that's sort of a mystery.
That's a mystery.
I mean, I think that's his best film, but really, wouldn't is it Crimson or Scar? Oh God, let me look it up. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's the one actually that I want to see it again. Honestly.
Hold on, let me get the name of the film. So does anyone know what the hell went critically wrong with Argento? Did he just burn out after a certain point and just say, fuck it, I'm just going to make crap films for money? He had this brief period where he just turned out a lot of great stuff and then just stopped. Let's see. Deep Red.
Yeah, Deep Red.
Deep Red would definitely be worth reviewing as a mystery. That's a really good one, and it's screwed up.
And that's my favorite of his films. Yeah. I mean, I like Phenomena, but I really like
Inferno.
Yeah, Inferno was great.
I like Deep Red, but I think it's a complete story and just a fully realized vision. And the most unique. Phenomena holds together the best for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, that, and it has Donald Pleasance and oh crap, what's her name?
Arya's mom, or Alita's mom, Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, there you go.
Jennifer Connelly when she was young.
Yeah.
Right before she hit that point of being super hot, when she was just cute.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, she got boobs and grew up a little more, and then it was holy shit. All right, well, good hanging with you all. I hope you've enjoyed this one. And don't
worry, Janelle, I mistype all the time.
Burnout. I don't know.
She was typing about how typing. Anyway.
All right, good night, everyone, and
thank you all. You have a great evening.